All right. Well, I couldn't be more excited because all the pressure's on Kirsten.
Ah! Thanks, Sharon.
Yay. And I know that I love listening to Kirsten Hood so much. Like over all these years, I don't even know how many years it's been, but she lives down here close to us. So I always see her at events, and we've trained, at Julie's house together and over the years. And she is just blossoming and learning so much from the brave Michelle Fletcher says her too. Anyway, I shouldn't try to read that. But anyway, her and I have learned so much. We were in a pod together with the Brave Leaders, and we're also in an accountability type of Voxer thing with Julie Mahajer, which is so much fun. And so, yes, Brave Leaders is all it's cracked up to be, and all you make of it, which I think we could make more of it, I'm sure. But anyway, I've loved hearing Kirsten's aha moments and all her thoughts. And she had mentioned that she would like to have a Zoom where it's okay to fail, and for you guys to feel okay about that. And I think that really is something that we really struggle with. And so I'm excited for her to talk on this and to add in all the different things that we've learned about being in the arena and having the SFD, which she'll share with you so I don't have to curse. And so all those different things. So do we want Kirsten in a box like this, or do we want her full speaker view? Full speaker?
Can they just choose for themselves, or?
Full view, Jules said. I knew somebody.
Full view, full view.
I mean, Kirsten is
Full view, full view.
Full view, full view, full view, Kirsten.
Full view. All right.
Okay, well, wait a minute. Can I share my screen eventually?
Oh yeah, you
okay.
Click on that.
Okay.
And anyway,
and if I ask a question, will they show up too? Because
yes, because they'll be speaking.
Okay.
Yep, you're right.
Cool.
So very excited to hear you, Kirsten, and to see all
Thanks.
your growth and aha moments. She sponsored 4 new team members since we started Brave Leaders. Take it away, Kirsten.
Thank you. Oh, you guys. Well, I'm really excited to be sharing with you guys tonight. And I'm just going to be really honest that I wanted to talk on this topic of failing and flourishing because I failed a lot. And I haven't really been public about it. And that's something I'm learning through the Brave Leaders program. And you'll probably find me on a roller coaster of emotion during our conversation now, because I kind of lay that out on my sleeve. So I'll probably cry several times. But it's okay to be vulnerable, and it's okay to be authentic. And I need to work on both of those issues. So I'm just going to be real with you guys. And so through this Brave Leaders program, in the last couple of weeks, we've been talking a lot about some struggles that we've had, and one of them for me has been failure. So I really wanted to talk to you guys about that and how it is okay to fail, because I really don't believe that we talk about it enough, or that it is an example. Most of the time, most of the examples that we all see are the rising stars that don't share the falling in the arena and the getting hit and slammed and knocked out, and you're down for the count for months before you even come back in. We don't often hear those stories. So I wanted to share a little bit about that. And also this word flourishing. I've just been learning a lot about myself and about this business. And you guys, in life, there are challenges, always challenges, and every challenge is an opportunity for growth. So that's what we're going to do. I challenged my team last year. There were several of us that read Daring Greatly together. And when I heard that, I was at the conference where they announced Brave Leaders, and they said that Brene Brown was going to be heading up Brave Leaders. I was the one that was screaming and jumping up and down in my chair. I was so excited because I've seen her TED Talks, and I've been listening to her, some of her audios, and it really, her discussion about vulnerability and about shame really resonated with me, and it kind of really rocked my world in several ways. And so I was excited that she was partnering with this, and I was really upset that I didn't get to do it the first time around. And I was really excited to get in it the second time. And I just want you to know, both Sharon and I and several others are wanting this to be open to everyone. And we are fighting hard to get everybody into this program. And so I just want to encourage you guys to do everything you can. And there's a lot that you can do without being a part of the program. Read everything you can from Brene Brown and get an accountability partner and work through it, because that's what you need. You need a buddy. You need somebody to rumble through some of these challenges with. And I wanted you guys to know that you're not alone. Failing often is a lonely place, and is a place that everybody feels, but nobody talks about, nobody shares, and we hide. And I think that's something that I've done when I have failed, when I've messed up, when I've, done something or been ashamed of something, or I said I'm going to do this and I don't do it, or it just doesn't happen year after year after year. And, you start shaming yourself and feeling guilty and, all of that. So I just wanted you guys to know you're not alone. When you get that big, fat, ugly no, when you have a meeting and nobody shows up, when you throw a Facebook party, nobody comes, nobody comments. When you invite someone to join your team and they say no, and your dream team member, tells you you're crazy, or your family member, tells you that, this is for the birds, and what are you doing network marketing, like what Maida did to Julie back 19 years ago. We all get hit, and we have to learn how to take that hit, and we have to learn how to get back up. So, and then lastly, I just want to talk about flourishing. We'll do that at the very end. But that word, you guys, I love that word. I don't know if you guys have thought about the word flourish very much, but it is a gorgeous word. And I'm going to give you the definition of it. We're going to definitely talk about it. And one of the questions through the Brave Leaders program, and I can't share details, but basically it was, what do you hope as a leader for your team? And for me, what I want for my team is I want each team member to flourish. I want them to flourish in who they were created to be, in their talents, in their uniqueness, in their abilities, in whatever life circumstance they're in, and of course, in this business. I want them to flourish. And I just love that word. So I have some pictures for you later on with that. And I want them to come alive. That's another part of that is flourishing, I think, is coming alive, so that's exciting. So let's talk a little bit about falling down. For you, and I do want to ask you guys this, so you guys can unmute yourself, but let's talk about the business, and let's talk about some of your disappointments, some of your downright failures or challenges. Anyone just want to shout one out? Yeah, Nalani.
Okay. My team conference has been a thorn in my flesh.
Your team what?
To the conference. I remember one time I actually got to the conference and I was so angry with myself for not getting the team there that I actually went and sat down and cried. Nobody knew that, but this was like, I don't know how many years ago, but I was so determined that because I know how important the conference is and how much they're missing, and there's no way I could share with them what they're missing, and I felt like such a failure because I was there alone. Yep. So I had my little cry, and then I got up and enjoyed the conference.
Well, Nalani, first off, you allowed yourself to feel that, which I think is really, really important. And you had a little cry session. And I want you to say you're not alone, because I went to conference as an NMD alone. Okay? Talk about feeling like a failure. Oh yeah, I'm right there with you. Okay? But what did it do? How did I change my mindset? Well, you were there, Nalani. You were there. I was there. I chose to be a leader of myself, and I chose to be at that conference. And, you know, I also had to allow people to be who they were. You know, we can only encourage and inspire as much as possible until they own it for themselves. And we have to let go of that result, you know, which is really hard. But I love that you owned it, you know, because I think half the time is just having that cry. And you know what, Nalani, a lot of people would go home and say, I'm not coming back. Right? But you did. And I bet you brought people with you the next time.
That was the last time. That was the last, because I said it, never again. And that was the last time I was there alone.
Good, good, good. Anybody else? Or anybody want to comment on Nalani? Another one?
I'll say one.
Jackie.
Okay, my expectations and my belief. Oh my goodness. I have such faith in people that I raise my expectations only for them to just be crushed, because my faith and my belief in people doesn't mean that other people have that same belief or faith in themselves. And so I expect them to show up because I believe in them so much.
Yep. And so the expectation is that they're going to come, and then they don't come.
Mm-hmm.
And that is really challenging, because I think we have expectations for ourselves that we're going to show up. And so we think that other people have that same expectation, and we're absolutely disappointed when they don't, you know? And that's hard. It's hard to love people where they are. I think definitely in this culture, there's, you know, there's the say yes and don't show up. I mean, I think that's part of it. A lot of people just say, yeah, I'm going to come, and they don't come. Word doesn't mean that much to a lot of people, you know, but we do have to be careful about our expectations of others. I think that is the challenge. Does anybody want to comment on that? How can Jackie help, you know, manage those expectations and feeling like a failure if they don't come? Because Jackie, you can't take that on yourself. That's not you being a failure.
Well, I've learned that there's a difference between conversation and implementation. A lot of people will say they're going to do something because it's part of conversation, but that does not necessarily mean that it's implementation. So I'm learning the difference between those two, and it helps to diminish, or actually more so relinquish, my expectation of them. I know I showed up, and that's all that I can do.
Yeah.
And hopefully that empowers or inspires somebody to take that conversation to the implementation stage, and then be able to have their own belief and their own faith in themselves.
How many of you have expected, you know, you had all these people say they were going to come and they didn't come, right? That happens a lot. Betsy, tell them what we did.
Okay, one time I was having a wellness presentation in my home, and I had invited all these people, and at the last minute, you know, they kept saying no, can't come, and finally ended up no one showed up. Kirsten showed up because we were going to do it together, and no one else showed up. So Kirsten and I decided, let's go to a movie. So we ended up, the two of us, just going to a movie and having a really good time. But it was challenging because it is disappointing. We do want this for other people. We want to send out this great message. But, you know, life happens, and we have got to roll with the punches sometimes. So we made some lemonade out of some lemons that night. It was really fun.
It really was. And I'll never forget it. You
Yeah,
know?
I won't either. Yeah.
How many other times have you done a presentation and people have come or they haven't come or whatever, and you don't really remember or think about it necessarily, but I'll never forget that we didn't have anybody come, and I think we went off to the movies. I mean, we had such a great time, and it really solidified a lot of our friendship.
Yeah.
I think, because that was in the early days. And you guys, we have to do stuff like that for our team, because their first presentation, you're probably going to have people come because it's the first time you're doing it. Mm-hmm. But the second time, you might not have anybody come. Mm-hmm. The third time, you might have one person come, you know, and And it is managing those expectations and realizing, why are we doing this? Are we doing this? Yes, we're doing this for them, but we're doing this for us too. And there's always something we can learn from it. Anybody want to,
well, something else
on that? Yeah.
It was something else I just wanted to share that I learned also early on in the business that I'd heard people say is when you have disappointments, which we all do, call your upline and just talk to them. That helped me a lot of times. If I would have somebody cancel or I got another rejection, I would connect with somebody. And that really, really helped. I would connect with you, Kirsten, or somebody else on the team, or what I'm doing now is connecting with my team members and just saying, you know what, this stinks, but I am gonna, talk to somebody else who has the belief. And that just lifted me back up as well. So that's another really practical idea that has helped me through the years.
Just one other thing, it just reminded me, just today I was thinking about how many of our new people don't have access to some of the books that help us to grow in that area, because we always say this business is a self-improvement program cleverly disguised as a business. And when we have those books and we study them, that helps us to overcome that feeling and get bulletproof. What about our people? So I was just going to say, what kind of books are we reading? That was something I meant to bring to my team today. So thank you for reminding me of that.
It's so important to be fueling our mind. Yeah, Sharon.
I'll just say, I think the number one that pops in my mind is the Jim Rohn YouTube, building your network marketing business, because it's all normal. It's all very normal. Everything that we go through, but we don't really know that it's normal. And so it's good to listen to that, and it's encouraging. It's kind of a numbers game. It's kind of like, hey, don't ask why. Don't take that class. I love that from Jim Rohn. Don't take that class. Don't sit there and ponder, why did that happen? Don't take that class, And I remember doing a talk once where I said, you got to just wash your brain of it. Sometimes I'm calling people like for the 5th time, they have not called me back, and they're customers. It's like, okay. And so I just call and say, hey, it's Sharon with Juice Plus, just acting like it never happened that they dissed me 5 times, So you gotta just brainwash yourself to not remember that, I used to say, pretend like you're at American Express with the headphone on and you've got this list that you just gotta go at it, and you just, nobody's got time for feeling bad, because it's just normal. It's what happens. And the more you can break through that and just get back up while you're in the arena, the more you're going to make of it.
Mm-hmm. It's so true. And I love, Sharon, one of the Brene Brown's quote, and I hope you guys, I'm going to show you the quote for the arena. And I hope you guys know that quote, but I'll show it to you in a minute. We have to be selective to who we're listening to. We really do. When people tell us no, or when people badmouth network marketing or Juice Plus or whatever it is, we really have to be selective about who we are listening to and who we are allowing to influence us. Because Brene says, if you're not in the arena getting your ass kicked, I am not interested in your feedback.
That's right.
I love that. I love that, because if they're in there in the arena and they're willing to get, punched around and they're willing to show up, then I'm interested in what they have to say, because they are running in the same direction I'm running. Okay, that's the direction I want to go. They're running with me. We're running together. I want their feedback. But if they're sidelining me, or they're a critic on the outside shouting insults at me, I don't need that feedback. It's like you, Sharon, you just wash that right out of your mind. Not signing up for that class. We have to be careful of what we allow and what we think in our mind. So let me show you guys some quotes, and I'm going to talk about our SFDs, Sharon.
I love it.
Pretty soon.
It's very useful.
It is so, so useful. Okay. Okay. So this is the arena quote that you guys have probably heard before, and I definitely want to read it. It's from Daring Greatly. It's the whole essence of her book and why she wrote that book. And I think and challenge that each one of us are in the arena if you're in this business and you want to choose to be in the arena. You don't want to be on the sideline. So it's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there's no effort without error and shortcoming. But who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly. And that's the whole essence of that book, you guys. But this, own this, please, right here. Just own this. Okay? So many people walk around like failure is a tattoo. And this is so big because when life has gotten me down, when I failed at something, I hide. I don't necessarily wear it like a tight tattoo, but I hide and I don't share. And I'm quiet and I'm under the radar, and I'll just sit there and I'll have my own little pity party and stay in this stupid failure, bad mode in my brain. And you know what, you guys, it's a bruise. It heals. I want resilience. I want to rise. I want to rise up from that. It's not a permanent thing. Failure is not a permanent thing. It's actually where we can challenge ourselves to learn. That's where the growth happens. When we fall down, when we fail, we can ask ourselves, okay, what went wrong? What went wrong? And then you can ask yourself, what can I change? What can I change? Those two questions, I remember Catherine Lee asking those questions, and I love them. I think it's so important for us to ask those questions. And, the truth is that falling really hurts. But the dare is to keep being brave and feel your way back up. And that's why, Nalani, I just wanted to say, I was so glad you owned your feelings, because we have to feel that hurt sometimes and that no, and own that to move through it. We can't dismiss it, okay? I like to stuff things. I don't know about you, but I'd rather stuff my feelings than own them and deal with them. But when you own them and feel with them, you can work through them. And then you can get up and you can be brave and you can feel your way back up. So I love that. But this is really important, you guys. This quote, I hope I can read. Okay, the most dangerous stories we make up are the narratives that diminish our inherent worthiness. We must reclaim the truth about our lovability, our divinity, and our creativity. And this goes along with something that I learned from Brene Brown, and she calls it a SFD. And you know how when you get a no from somebody, what do you tell yourself? Anybody, what do you tell yourself when you get a no from somebody? Be honest.
I must have done something wrong.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. What did I do wrong? What did I say that was wrong? Yeah.
Right. So what do? We immediately make up this negative thought process, this story about us doing something wrong, right? Mm-hmm. Even though you may have done it beautifully. How about, she has this great story about her and her husband and a misunderstanding that they have. And she started making up a story in her mind that, she was a terrible mother. She was a terrible wife. She, wasn't taking care of the family, all these things because of a perception she had of what her husband had said to her. And it was just an exclamation. Our brain, Brene talks about our brain is hardwired for a story. It doesn't like ambiguity, so when we don't understand why someone says no, or we don't understand why people aren't at our house for a presentation when they said they were going to be there, our brain makes up a story. Okay. And she calls it, and pardon my French, but this is what Brene calls it. She calls it the shitty first draft. You can say stormy first draft or stupid, but I actually kind of like the shitty first draft because that's exactly what it is. Okay. It's our brain needs that story. It needs to have an answer. It needs completion. Okay. It doesn't like ambiguity. So we make up a reason for why our friends aren't there. And it always is, almost always, negative. And it's usually totally false. And it doesn't matter if it's true or false. Our brain has to make it up. And this is what we believe. And then we start acting on it. We start acting on a story that we started telling ourselves that could be completely wrong. Most of the time, it's way off base. I mean, totally off base. And so the one thing I learned from this is anytime I'm in a situation where there's ambiguity or I'm challenged because I'm vulnerable, something's going wrong, okay, or I get a no, or I'm failing at something, I immediately start telling myself negative things. And this is where our mindset is so important, you guys. We have to catch it. We have to catch that mindset. We have to catch that story. And I just started catching myself and I'm thinking, wait a minute. Okay, I'm totally hijacked. I am telling myself a story. I have no idea if it's the truth. I need to pause right now and think about what I'm saying to myself. And you guys, if there's anything you take away from tonight, it's that. I want you to take away this SFD from your life, from every situation that you're in, because we don't like ambiguity. And this business is full of ambiguity. Okay. It's full of challenges. And our mind we can just create this negative space for ourselves rather than a positive space, rather than asking questions. We've always heard it's so important to ask questions, because we need to get clarification. Because otherwise our mind is going to run away with a negative thought and a negative ending. So I just love this. And this is what she says, when we deny our stories, they define us. When we own our stories, we get to write the ending. And that's so when she says, when we own our stories, you got to realize what you're telling yourself. When we own that story that we're telling ourselves, we can rewrite it. I just love that. I love that. So she wrote a book called Rising Strong. You'll see it in a bunch of these quotes. I really encourage you guys to get it. I have it on audio and I've been listening to it. And it's so good. And it is all about resilience. It's really all about how we can rise. And this quote really resonated with me. Whoops. How can I go back? Okay, there we go. We need more people who are willing to demonstrate what it looks like to risk and endure failure, disappointment, and regret. People willing to feel their own hurt instead of working it out on other people. People willing to own their own stories, live their values, and keep showing up. And this quote, sometimes the bravest and most important thing you can do is just show up. Nalani, that's what you did. That's what you did, okay? And that's what we're all doing. We're showing up. We're showing up. And it's brave, you guys, that you continue to show up, that you continue to join in on these calls, that you continue to make that customer care call, that you continue to ask people into this business. You're showing up. It's so important. And I just have to tell you, failure is really hard. Okay, I got to National Marketing Director in 6 years. I did this, part-time, working hard. I probably put a real push, that last year to make NMD. I made NMD, you guys, and within a year, I lost 2 sales coordinator lines. I fell out of bonus. I didn't get my benefits. I didn't get my benefits back till last year, and I lost them again just now. 3 months ago. Talk about failure. Okay, I'm feeling it. I can just tell myself that negative, I'm going to stop, but I want to be real with you. I want to be honest with you. But I'm showing up. And so that's the story I keep telling myself. I've gotten life challenges. My mom got cancer. I stepped away from the business for a year, quite a bit to take care of her. I took a hit, but I came back in. And it's just wonderful. You never lose your commission. You're never, I'm always a national marketing director. I gained back. I almost have my structure back. I've got all my qualifying lines. I don't have my POB line yet, to get that. It's humbling, and I just want you to know it happens to everybody. I have been trying to go for 24 Club, for 8 years. How many times have I told my team, you guys all know, we're going to do it. We're going for 24 Club, and we rally and we go for it, and we don't make it. It's hard. It's hard to get back up. But I'm telling you, it's worth getting back up. Okay. And I want to be resilient. I want to come back out. I want to come back up fighting. I still want 24 Club one day, because I know there are more people out there that I need to talk to. I know there are more people who are going to love this business. I know there are more people who desperately need that $500 a month. Oh my goodness. I know there are people who need the health that Juice Plus is going to bring into their life. So am I going to let my failure keep me down, or am I going to get up? And am I going to own my feelings and just get up? And you guys, this is where integrity is choosing courage over comfort. It's choosing what is right over what is fun, fast, easy. Choosing to practice our values rather than simply professing them. I think when the crap hits the fan, shit hits the fan, that's when you got to make sure your values are in place and you're not just professing them. Because it's really easy when the going is great. Right? When the going is great, it's really easy to profess them and live them. But when you get hit and you get knocked down, are you going to get back up, and are you going to practice those values? And that's what I really want to do. And I really want to encourage you guys that it's worth doing. It's really worth doing. The greatest glory in living lies not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. Love that. That man has an amazing autobiography. Amazing. That's what we want to do. We want to rise every time we fall. Just because the kid fell off the bike, he's going to get back on the bike. He wants to ride the bike, right? He wants to ride the bike. Got to get back up. And this is where it really changed for me. And I'm in the middle of another life circumstance. My dad's not doing very well. We're in another life challenge where my time, and I'm so grateful that my dad lives here with me, and I get to take care of him, and I get to be a part of his life. But it's a choice that I will do, because I will not let somebody else do it. I mean, I'm not going to go hire somebody, you know what I mean? It's a gift. I have to choose that gratitude that I get to be a part of my dad's life. But it is a life circumstance that's changing my life right now and my time. And, but I love this quote. I don't have to chase extraordinary moments to find happiness. It's right in front of me if I'm paying attention and if I'm practicing gratitude. Because you guys, life is in the little things. It's in that smile, that your daughter gives you in the morning, or your son or your husband, when he's looking at you and you're making that connection. It's in these little things. And the more we practice gratitude for the failing and for the rising and for what we do have, the more positive we're gonna get. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It's the courage to continue that counts. Resilience, right? That's what I really want to cultivate, you guys. Through failure, we have to cultivate resilience. Resilience is the ability to resist or to bounce back from adversity and not break, not to give up, just to show up one more time, show up one more time, ask one more time, right? That's what it is. Resilience is about being able to overcome the unexpected A lot of times life gets thrown at you, right? Totally unexpected. Resilience is about overcoming that. Sustainability is about survival. But the goal of resilience is to thrive. So sorry. I'm getting over chest cold. And this is where I get really excited, because resilience, you know, that whole goal is to thrive. That's what flourishing, you guys, is all about. It's about thriving. And when you think about flourishing, you know, I'm flourishing. You think about a plant seeded, you know, or seeds planted, with watered, and they just grow and they're flourishing. And that tree that's planted by the stream, and it's just blossoming and growing, and it's strong, you know, to flourish. You know, that's what I want to do. Even in the adversity, I want to be able to flourish. And that's the definition: to thrive, to be in one's prime, be at the height of fame, excellence, or influence, to be successful, to prosper. But this bottom one, to grow luxuriantly, to thrive in growth. We can't grow unless we fail. We can't. There's nothing to do, you know. You grow from challenges. You grow from failure. So that's how you're going to flourish, is by working through that failure. And so this was my board when the brave leaders, you know, asked us to really think about what you hope for your team. And I kind of shared this with you guys at the beginning, you know, was what do you want as a leader? What do you want to be as a leader? And as a leader for my team, I want my team to flourish. I want them to come alive. And so this was my board. You know, I want to own it. I want to own it. I want to own every process of it, whether it's the failure, whether it's the height, the mountain, the valley, you know. And I want there to be that contagious culture that we have in there. I want to believe that all of us can flourish. I want a place to belong. Don't we want a place to belong? You guys all want a place to belong. I want to come alive. You know, I want to come alive. Flourishing to me means coming alive. Just completely coming alive. And it's because of these quotes on the bottom, you know, that we can come alive. Imperfections are not inadequacies. They are reminders that we're all in this together. This is a place for all of us to belong. Vulnerability is the birthplace of innovation, creativity, and change. And I needed to be vulnerable. I needed to be way more vulnerable. I always thought I was. I thought I was vulnerable and authentic. And no, I was hiding. That's what I was doing. You know, I wasn't being authentic, and I wasn't sharing my struggles. I would much rather smile and say everything's great, right? Don't we all do that? You know? But this bottom one is what I'm owning right now. She was unstoppable, not because she did not have failures or doubts, because I have both, but because she continued on despite them. Yes, right? That's what we're doing. We're going to continue on despite the challenges. Okay, and I have to close with this, because this is the best movie. If you have not seen this movie, The Greatest Showman, you have to go see The Greatest Showman. I have the soundtrack playing constantly in my car. And this is my anthem song, Come Alive. And you guys should pull up the whole, all the words, but this is what it means to flourish. It means to come alive. You know, you want to come alive. You want to come alive. You want to go and light your light. Let it burn so bright, reaching up to the sky. And it's open wide. You're electrified. And the world becomes a fantasy, and you're more than you could ever be, because you're dreaming with your eyes wide open. And you know you can't go back again to the world you were living in, because you're dreaming with your eyes wide open. I love that. So I hope that encourages you guys, and I hope you go back and listen. And this makes a lot more sense when you watch the movie, and I hope many of you have watched the movie. But I really challenge you guys to own your struggles, to own them, you know, to rewrite the ending, okay? Rewrite the ending. That's what it's about. Find out what you're telling yourself. Rewrite it. Come alive. Flourish through the failings and the fallings. And, you know, definitely bring people with you to do that. How do I stop sharing my screen? Oh, there we go. Okay. So that's it, Sharon.
Wonderful.
Sorry, that was long.
No. Was it?
I hope it
I
wasn't
didn't
too
even
bad.
notice. I had to look, Kirsten. It was quite engaging. And I love it. You know, don't you just love Kirsten? So for those of you who may not feel like, and this is all new to us, you know, ever since Brene Brown was rolled out to us, you know, that vulnerability is attractive, you know, and transparency. We had heard transparency, but vulnerability. People want to know the real you. They don't want the fake you, you know. There's no relationship in that. And so Brene Brown says that's part of wholehearted living. So can't you see that Kirsten is flourishing? And don't you love her more now that we have really seen her vulnerability? You know, so I just want to encourage you guys to really think about, you know, being more vulnerable. And I think about it now more that we've been taking this course. And actually when Brene came out, I started to listen to all the TED Talks and read the books, have the books on audio or whatever, Audible and all that good stuff, because you can't get enough Brene Brown. Seriously. There's just not enough, you know, there's so much out there too. And she just, whether you're in the Brave Leaders or not, I mean, there's the Oprah interview, there's all kinds of things. And so it's awesome. And I know that sometimes we do have our challenges. And like you said, Kirsten, you know, we have to look at that and what stories we're making up and all that. And it's funny, at church this weekend, we had the pastor's child speaking, and he's 18. He was phenomenal. You guys go online and watch it. It was so good. But he said, you know, don't believe a lie, you know. And so sometimes people say things to you, or you're taking on this lie and you're defending it, or you're getting upset or whatever. And he repeated himself so many times all across the auditorium. He's like, a lie is a lie, and therefore it's a lie, or something like that. It was like, and he kept saying it, and therefore it's a lie. So if you know, sometimes there's things that happen in this business that's going to really help you if you say, you know what, that's a lie, you know, and I'm not going to entertain it any further. It's a lie. So a lie is a lie. And that's why it's a lie. So anyway, thank you so much, Kirsten. I mean, we could talk all night to you about this subject, I know. But maybe part 2 sometime, right? But yes, it's recorded. It's recorded, so we will send that out. All right, I'm going to stop